Good morning and welcome to today's live show. Remember that we're going to give a 15-minute breakdown. If you're not watching this live, make sure to like and subscribe today, and keep in mind that volatility could come back into this market at any point. So you need some kind of course because this market's going to be a lot harder to trade in. So remember, we have 11 days left to get that course down below in the description for 149. Just keep that in mind as we look through today. You can ask questions about the course and all kinds of things like that. But when we click through, now we can do a little breakdown as of right now of what's going on. So right now on the 30-minute, looks like it wants to curl over, but we're seeing the Qs go higher. So we have to be open to the potential for the SPY to go higher as well, opening up a little bit above our weekly expected move up here. Remember, this is all the options market priced into the upside for the entire week. So if you do make a move out of that, maybe even go up to the zone or up to that daily expected move, look out for any divergences that could form in this area. So it's just looking like a point where we need to have some kind of pullback. And this is where it's like, do we pull back or do we head higher? Right now, you do have the potential for the structure to show itself. And this would be very interesting going on through the entire end of the week. Because if the end of the week, if you start to close outside of this, a lot less likely you're going to see that rip back down. So if we could do something like this and then close the week like that, that would be a very strong move if we get above this zone. But if we actually just go to this zone pretty quick and then see that fall off, that's where I'm convinced actually maybe we're actually going to head lower. So we'll pay attention to that. We got some geopolitical stuff going on. We got some data going on at the end of the week, and we got earnings. So it's a big day. And we're going to look at Tesla here in a moment. You're noticing that the Q is actually getting that pop higher. So we're going to look for any kind of little divergences here, maybe even looking at a little 5-minute. Now, this 5-minute is what I was posting to Patreon. If you're a Patreon member and you knew about this type of stuff, hey, just reminding you guys, we're approaching that weekly expected move. In the 5 minutes, seeing some divergence. Okay, now the divergence was very firm on both the MACD and RSI for the SPY, but not necessarily for the Q. So you could say this is a pullback to head higher. We're now using the monthly to close a little bit higher here. Let's see what happens with this. Do we create some kind of small divergence here? Do we create that divergence a little bit bigger to go between this one here? But pretty much I'm thinking once we get to overbought territory, we're going to see some kind of resistance come in at this level. But we'll keep paying attention to that. 5-minute charts can be a little wonky. Now, the 30-minute for Apple is going to be telling here if this is actually able to curl over and go negative. That hasn't happened yet, but this does look pretty flaggy in this area. So we're going to pay attention to if it can go a little bit higher, okay, but if it wants to curl down and go negative here, kind of reverse this little mini trend that's going up right now, we actually could see the 30-minute negative trend continue by going into negative territory. Then we could maybe get some kind of divergence. So we'll pay attention to this going forward for Apple. Now we get to go look at Tesla, and Tesla, there's that big move. And I know people are going to come in and probably be pissed if you took shorts on this because it looks like it needs to curl down negative territory. It's been a very negative stock. It produces negative numbers and the stock goes up. So I could understand if you're frustrated if you're short on this. Totally get it. This is why I don't trade around earnings, because all they do is they produce really bad numbers but give you a little cookie of good news that might not even be real. Right? It's like they're speeding up the process, but it's like, what does speeding up the process mean? Does that mean instead of 8 years, it takes 5? They're like, oh, maybe in the next month we'll be working on it over. Yeah, it still could take a long time. So we'll see what happens. But all you need to know from the technical side is Tesla heading up towards its weekly expected move. Now, this is good news for it. So if it wanted to head through it, it can. But just know this is where most likely some sellers step in. And good morning, David, Philip, John, Matthew, Born to Win. What is going on? So yeah, I'd just be looking out for any kind of pullback at this point. So what's going to happen now if we do see continued bullishness, the 30 minutes going to be in positive territory. We can see that kind of just do this, get close to the center line down here, and then scoop back up if we're going to see that positivity throughout the rest of the week. So Amazon, another one that's popping a little bit higher, and this is kind of the worried thing, right? It's like we kind of need to consolidate at this point. We're getting overbought a little bit on the 30-minute. Now that can just continue, but I would really like to see structure in the first 2 hours of the day, at least from Amazon, because popping higher now just invites those sellers to step in, and the pullback can be more aggressive, right? And then that might fake you out to thinking, oh, this has to go down to here. So it makes things more complicated and actually a little bit more dangerous to the bull side if we just keep gapping up on things like NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA, we were talking about this mainly on, I think it was a 15-minute we were looking for some kind of small divergence here. I think the 5-minute will look a lot like the market. and we can just see if this thing ever rolls down and goes negative. But as of right now, you consolidated, right? You consolidated, many little head and shoulders in here. We pop higher. Now that's playing out. Remember, the important line to get above is that 141 or 841. Sorry, not 141. That'd be crazy. 841, very important point to remain above for NVIDIA. Support in the zone, breakthrough, boom, retest the zone, breakdown. So now we're testing that zone, but we're not seeing those sellers. If they pop in here, we can break back through this zone. So if we're looking for downside for NVIDIA, probably going to see this 30-minute curl down. Right, probably going to see this 30-minute curl down into negative territory, and then we see some kind of maybe pullback at this point, see if we can get a higher low out of this. It is getting higher and higher up in this positive territory, so... But if it does roll negative, there is a good shot we're going to test this low. I just want to point that out. AMD seeing a pop higher. So look at that. It looked like it wanted to curl over. Did AMD get some kind of good news? Okay, so some AI news as well from Tesla, and that's probably making some upward moves and some stuff. But what we're seeing here is, okay, this flagged. All right, we didn't break through this level here. We pop up again. Now, we do probably need some consolidation to head higher. I would say this 15-minute might produce some kind of small divergence, then we see that ripped away. So we'll have to pay attention to that going forward. But AMD is just one that I don't even have it on my trading list anymore. Really hasn't been moving the best based on the technicals, right? It's just a negative trend. So if you were just swing trading this down, yeah, perfectly great. Yeah, you just get in every time you curl down. Microsoft, this thing getting a big move higher. Remember that TikTok news, that TikTok ban news is going to be good for or Microsoft Meta. And this area here is where I think we need to make that head and shoulders. I mean, if we react all the way up to 508, 510, something like this, and then we see that big pullback, this will convince people like, hey, this is it. And then what if we just turn right back around and we get ourselves a little head and shoulders in here so you can kind of see it. I'll draw it out for you. If you look at this, this would be a great setup to actually head higher here. So we have to get some good news throughout the week in order for this to play out. We have to pay attention to our weekly expected moves. Microsoft, kind of looking similar actually to AMD, but Microsoft going to get some good news here. Good flagging. I was like, this is a sturdy flag. That's what I said in my video last night. But we still need more consolidation than this. So this is good for one little pop higher, but now I would suspect we do get at least a retest of this area, maybe 407 before we actually head higher again. We just are in a time where that we seem like we need some consolidation to remain healthy, or else we're going to get another sudden drop. Google, this had some good news with the TikTok ban as well. It's going to react pretty well to that, but as we test these up high levels, we have to pay attention to, well, 30-minute rolling down. Now, you don't have 30-minute divergence or anything like that up here, but we can do something like this, test that actual high. What I'd be really paying attention to with Google is just the 2-hour rolling over and going negative. I think that's going to be your signal that this thing's about to get rug pulled, but it does have earnings coming up. So just be a little bit careful because these earnings can make things a little bit wonky, right? We're going to see this reaction on Friday. So if we do see a dramatic sell-off before Friday, sure, that selling can continue. But like I said, earnings 50-50 flip. Let's see how Netflix is recovering, see what it's doing. It came back up into the area right towards that gap resistance, so we could see that back off, maybe create some kind of cup and handle. This is the first area you really want to get to. Now you want to see that consolidation, but as this curvature of the MACD looks, and like how this is just no real selling in it, if those sellers really step in, you can come test this level again, 543.31, just based on how it looks. It really looks like you might want to double bottom before you actually head up. SPX is going to be similar, right? We do the SPY, but the SPX it's a similar thing, right? 30-minute looks like it needs to back off and then start to head up, and this would be a great time for it to do so. So I would really not necessarily like to see the SPY get overexcited, right? I want to see the SPY kind of do this and then curl back up. I think that would be very healthy for the market. But thank you guys as you trickle in. Remember to hit that like button. It helps out the channel, helps me out, and I really appreciate it. And then if you do need some kind of course or anything like that, please ask about it because it's only $149 for the next 11 days. So how are we doing out there? Anybody got some fun plays that they are excited about for today? Morning, Lucas and team. What up, team? Dollar creeping higher. I thought this was interesting. You guys remember how we were talking about this 105.65? What do we hit? 105.65. We actually tested again last night. So we tested it, what is that, 9 a.m., right? We tested it yesterday in the morning, and then we tested it again last night. We see that reaction up. So we'll have to see if we can base out from here. But look at the dollar. I mean, 30-minute, not the best thing to watch for the dollar, to be honest, but you can. I like my 2 hours, and 2 hours just crossing up. Maybe this thing actually is able to go positive, but as that drops off, we're seeing some positivity in the market. So pretty much you're watching the volatility on the 2 hour, seeing if that can get some kind of pop. If this doesn't pop and we just keep dropping, once we drop below 15, it means, hey, this thing's going to be bullish for a little while. We might be seeing some kind of bigger move as we go test, 13 or even 12.12. So I'd be looking out for that. But most likely we're going to see some little pops along the way, right? And then we're going to get some kind of wedging like this, and then we're going to see volatility start to pop higher again. So we'll be paying attention to volatility and paying attention to Tesla at its weekly expected move, right? So paying attention to it as it's hitting it right now. It's literally right at it. So it'll be interesting to see how it does from here on. Right, you could probably even watch a 15-minute, see that curl down, and then see that curl back up for another move higher. So 15-minute like this, and then we see how it's overbought already. That's what I'm talking about. But you were able to get well into positive territory on the MACD. So now you can just be patient with it, see it do something like this, maybe even touch this little zone for you, curl back up. What would that do? Well, it gets you towards that center line, curl back up. You can be a part of the second move. Waiting for my Tesla calls to print. I bought before it closed yesterday. Yeah, you're probably in the money right now. You want to try to day trade today? You're gonna sell Meta before the close. I mean, it's a solid decision. I mean, it's just you just don't want to get ripped away. I mean, the way you think about it is like, what if you were the one who took Tesla puts here, right? Then you would feel awful. So if you're in Meta or something like that and you can learn from that, well, you just came up into a great spot. You are overbought on a short time frame. Okay, well, maybe I can play some kind of pullback. Maybe this is the safe place to say, hey, let me take some off the table. That's what I would say going forward. All right, let me just do some stuff on my end really quick. Fix some YouTube stuff. But it is cool. The market's pretty much like in a turning point of, are we going to see it go higher? Like, are we going to just see an explosion higher with some kind of V shape? Or are we going to see, I don't know, maybe we're going to see this is it. So if we would consolidate here, I would be very happy to the bull side. I think you consolidate. It looks pretty good. But the fact that we just keep going up is a little bit worrisome. All right, let's go check out the SPY, see how we're reacting here. Maybe we want to go into the 15-minute, right? The Qs as well. We can look at that, right? 15-minute. So Qs haven't lost any kind of trend. If anything, they're extending those trends higher. So now that we're excited outside the weekly expected move on a Wednesday morning, you would say the probabilities here are that we do this, but just be cautious because we could, see this thing just keep going because of how we acted last week. If all this is fake, then, this might not be the best point. But if we follow, if we really trust what we're doing, then we would say, hey, there's a 68% chance we land down in this zone. So that's what I would say going forward. And the cool part about this, though, is like, so if we were to pull back the rest of the week and then see a bounce on, say, the end of the week, going Thursday into Friday, this monthly, we would maybe end up there next week, which is our other 68% zone for the month of April. So I just thought that would be very interesting. The Patreon account is not letting me sign up. Oh no! Okay, I'll check in a moment. Happy Friday. You got to tell us about those Tesla calls. You got to tell us, man. We got to see. You check the Dow? Yeah, we can look at the Dow real quick. So Dow's one that also needs a pullback. Like that's what you would say here. The 30 minutes going to be overextended. You have some little divergence here on the RSI. The Dow is kind of doing what you want the market overall to do, the SPY and the Qs and all that good stuff. The Dow broke this trend. Now the trend's up. Okay, well, now we need some probably kind of consolidation. So if we can see something like this, I'd be very happy. I think it's just a moment where pulling back would be a very good thing. Pulling back, testing some levels, and then boom. So it just looks like that as of right now, but I can tell you right now, but if we go into a daily, you're going to say, oh, well, this is a buy above the 20. We're seeing that go up, but as you pay attention to the shorter technicals, this hasn't crossed over yet. You could see some kind of pullback, maybe to test this level where the 5's at, right? So maybe it tests this level where the 5's at, and then we see that reaction. The big thing here is, the shorter time frames, the bigger time frames saying, hey, I want to cross to the upside. Definitely possible for a big upside move. But the shorter time frames are like, we're a little tired. We might need to back off before that happens. That's all we're looking for. And that could happen in one day. You literally could do this, wick out, and then everything looks good again. But right now, this too, right? This is like a swing trader's dream, right? You get a beat down, right? Pretty good one, all the way down towards the center line. You see that cross up into positive territory, close above the 5. Maybe you enter there. But notice this big thing. The RSI hasn't, right? This one, MACD is a little bit lagging. RSI is a little quicker. It hasn't even got above the center line yet. So you have to see that get above the center line to really confirm all of this. And then you just look at the shorter time frames, like a 15-minute, and you're like, okay, this thing's been cooked for a little bit, and we're getting a bunch of points of divergence on the RSI. And, well, we have some resistance right where we're at. This is all we're expected to do today. Let's see if this is working now. It is. There it is. 30. So I'm just stating from either perspective that a little bit of a pullback would actually be a very good thing for the bulls. It would keep you from some kind of sudden drop, right? Tesla is starting to fade right at that weekly expected move. Interesting. So if we go over to Tesla, you're going to see it's starting to fade that move. We'll have to see. Remember, this thing can remain positive, but now you'd be looking for, hey, now that I know the direction after earnings, maybe I see that do this and pop higher. Okay, there's an entry. Now I play it. I know I'm outside the weekly, so I take profit quickly. That's how I would look at this. IWM, see, that's more the reaction you need. Like, you need some reactions down at this point. IWM actually getting the crossing. Even if it's for a moment, I really do think that's powerful if you're able to do something like this. I would really like to see it for an extended period of time, just a little bit of fight back and forth, right? And we get down to this level and then we see that thing pop. Apple actually rolling over a little bit negative here, trying to pop higher. It's trying to hold higher. We'll have to see if that's able to cross. Look how close that is right there. So close to crossing. And we just have to be aware as well that the VIX is very close to crossing over on this, right? We're about to see this. Let's actually zoom in. Let's zoom in as close as possible. Yeah, it's a little buy signal. No. So as of right now, look how close that is to crossing. That is a very big crash signal. So once that gets above there, it means that the momentum is like averaging out on the 50, right? Going up. So some kind of reaction down to this level. That's why 15 is so important this week. And then if we break down below that, look for a reaction down towards 13. TLT dropping off, so those yields going up a little bit higher. Qs, solid bounce coming from the Qs here. And look at that. So this is why I'm like, okay, now we kind of missed our opportunity, I feel like, to really gain some structure in here. Now we're going to go to a higher point without structure. I'm just going to tell you right now, that's usually not a good thing. It's kind of like what we said when we were going up and to the all-time highs. It's like, hey, I'd be happy with us going to all-time highs if we had structure on the way up. But we really didn't. We just went there, which is a very big difference. Love TLT here. You're loaded up. Hey, I can respect that. Google's going to the sky. We haven't seen Google in a second here. Google going up. Now, this is where the 2-hour chart's going to be your friend here. If this thing rolls over, I think you know that the momentum is dead here. So just be cautious with this. Now you do have earnings, so just be careful around earnings as well. It's kind of like a time where you might want to see what the direction is first, right? You might want to see what the reaction is from earnings, and then if it's down, you look for some kind of pop on the 30-minute, and then you just kind of trade that thing down. So that's what I would look for the most part. But if we keep heading higher here, you're going to have a 2-hour. If that completes after earnings, so if earnings gives bad news and you have the momentum dying out, that is a very, very bad thing to happen at the same time, because that means all these people up here might just get freaked out, right? If we open up down here, they might get freaked out, momentum dies, and then we go down. No one is there to hold it up. So still look at this 153.87. Look at that reaction down to 153.87 recently. Very, very good call there. And now we're starting to curl up. Positive territory. What happens? Positive move. Okay, so now we have to pay attention to the signals the other way. We pay attention to the how can we get screwed? Which if you're bullish here, you can get screwed if this confirms and then starts to go negative, especially with bad earnings. That would be very, very bad. It's not really like fake news. It's just like news, at least from Tesla. It's news that is all future stuff. So it's like, oh, in the future. Remember that one time when it was like Tesla said like, oh, we have a deal going on in the future with Hertz. And then Tesla booms and goes higher. But then later on, they start to say, oh, the Hertz deal's not happening. So right now, you're like, they printed bad numbers, but then they go, in the future, we're working on, we're going to work a little fast laning on the cheaper electric vehicle. We're going to work on putting AI as part of a big thing in the company now. Okay, but is that happening right now? No, so this might just be like a buy the rumor, and then it's just going to like go away over time, kind of like the Hertz thing. Elon's going to Burger King. I'll go. Danny, do you want to get Burger King today? Maybe. We have Burger King coupons. That's right. When we go to fast food places, we only go places where we have coupons because we're very, very cheap. But who can hate on me for that? They send me the coupon. We buy like $28 of food for like, what is it, 16 bucks? Go. No, they're ons. I like the small. I don't like Zen. It's too big in my mouth. I should never say that live on stream. Shut up. Now we just sit and watch. I mean, pretty much we could just sit and watch a 5-minute, honestly. You could watch a 5-minute. Because I want you to see this divergence that could be happening here. Now, it took out this stuff, so it could be creating a new line of them, right? So be cautious with that. But as you get outside the expected move here, just pay attention because we could be seeing something very, very bad happen here where this actually fades now, and then we go into that 5-minute negative trend. I go through phases where I do those, but it makes me nauseous. Just gained. Yeah, I get you. You can do too many. Just gained all. I've lost back and doubled from VRT today. Hey, congrats, Inks. Very, very good job. Were you patient with it? You didn't like emotionally try to trade it the other way immediately. You just kind of like saw a signal. What'd you do? I'd love to hear about it. Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. RX Jorge, good morning. G morning. Remember to like the channel, guys. Really, really helps to like the video. Tesla is going to lease the FSD to BYD, and China will be the first country to mandate FSD as requirement. I've been a Tesla stock owner since 2017, so I could care less what happens in the short term. Hey, I feel you on that. I still think Tesla makes good moves. And if they, and like I said, remember guys, I said this like weeks ago where we were talking about, you know, what could EV companies do to actually make it like EVs a big thing? And it's create the cheaper vehicle. It's create the vehicle that middle class, lower class can really, really afford. And that's apparently what, and at least from what I read, that's what Tesla's trying to do. And I was like, that is huge. And I said a stock would boom if it would do that. And if Tesla's doing that, I respect it. I think it's great. SPY to 510 before seeing a dip, it's possible. So pretty much you could say if this bullishness is going to continue, okay, well, we're looking like we're going to head towards like a 509 area, somewhere in this zone. Maybe that 508 is the first point we get to, 508.50. But as you do have this happening, you're very overbought now again on the 15-minute. You still have the divergence holding at 2 points here, this one here, this one here. If that rolls over, you're most likely taking out this trend. You're going to see a reaction like this, 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 and then we're just going to see that go down. Where could we go down to? Well, I'd be paying attention to 501. But as this sees more and more bullishness, you just have to be cautious with it. It means if this does roll over and go negative, okay, you can take a play there maybe to the bottom side daily expected move, but always have a stop in place. I would even put my stop right here. That would be where I would put my stop. Morning, everyone. Brian Yip, thank you so much for subscribing. Yeah, if you're not subscribed in here, we would love to have you on board. We have a lot of fun. We actually do just, I have some serious ADHD, so I just click around like crazy most of the morning, and people seem to enjoy it a little bit. So like the Qs look stronger. You notice they're already going towards their daily expected move. Now, in order for the Qs to actually fully go bullish, in my opinion, I think first of all, you have to take out probably this 433.79, like this little bit in here. But really, the time where you're like, okay, we're going to a new all-time high, I think if we take 438.28 back, we're in a bullish trend for sure again. And we're going to see us actually climb to a new all-time high. And then maybe we see sell in May and go away. But that's why I kind of want structure in this move, because I believe we can go higher if we see structure. But if we go higher without that structure and we just keep going, I'm going to be worried that that's going to be short-lived and that's just going to be ripped away. So as the Qs head higher, I'm just a little bit more hesitant going forward on this. Now let's see. Is volatility able to even go into a 5-minute positive trend? It's right there. So this would be a moment where volatility can actually come up, because the first thing you need is the 5 minutes to go into some kind of positive trend, and the 5 minute for the SPY to go into a negative trend at the same time, right? So when we see two things at the same time, we can pay attention to the VIX signals. Good morning, Luke. How you doing? Anybody got any other good plays they're excited about for the day? Also, I'm going to check that email real quick. Send me an email. If it got put in spam. Oh. The Junior? Or who was it? Was it Junior? Junior, which email did you send it to? Was it the what? Was it my name? Silver and gold, we'll take a look at that in a moment. MU playing with emotions when it knows damn well it's worth 120 plus. Or did you use my LLC email? Dang it. Here. I'll have to find it. Yeah, I just need to find that email, but pretty much you're having trouble signing up. Yeah, we did talk about Tesla. So Tesla, I'm actually going to give this, just because I know some people were probably in the call side. I just wanted to say, like, this is that weekly expected move, so this is where you want to take some profit. Just want to point that out. Oh, sorry, Junior. We'll get that fixed for you. Shoot, can you send another? I want to say send another email, but it should be pretty straightforward. But it's not letting me sign up. Well, let me make sure nothing's going on with Patreon. Make sure there's nothing on my end or something that I didn't do. Also, there's that new chat feature, right, in Patreon. So we're just going to be having random topics in there. You guys can post your profits and things like that from good trades. Anything like that. Reacted to your message. Trying to see I need to do anything. I gotta click on that. No. Gator Hub. I will tell you what, Junior. I will take a look and make sure to find that email. I can't see your email in at least mine here. It's under my social. There, where's that email? Dang it. So lame. Why are yields rising? There are going to be some, I think, bond auctions throughout the day. We'll have to see with that. But I think the real reaction in yields is going to come by Thursday, Friday. We actually get data on Thursday and Friday. And that's what's really going to move the yields. So as of today, actually, we got the durable goods orders. So durable goods orders is going... The previous was 0.7, now it's at 2.6. So that's... so that's kind of a high number. Now, does that justify a new high for the 10-year yield? Probably not at this point. You're seeing TLT, the bond market does not like it. Let's go to the SPY real quick. Just leave it there for a second. But I think tomorrow the GDP growth rate is going to be very important. If that comes above 2.5, 2.3, even if it comes in at anything like 3.4 like it did last time, that would be pretty inflationary. Just know anytime now that we see pretty much a positive for print, you can bank that inflation is still in the market. Until we start to see negative GDP, you're not going to experience deflation, which 2 negative prints in a row is a recession. Remember, they changed that definition a couple years ago. 2 negative prints in a row isn't a recession. So now maybe it's 3 prints. I don't know. But the growth rate, we'll have to pay attention to that. Jobless claims. And then on Friday, we actually get PCE, personal income and personal spending. All of those are expected to pretty much PCE come in at 0.3. Personal income expected to go up, but personal spending is supposed to go up higher than personal income, which is not good. It's kind of like, who's that one guy, that Dave guy who like helps people with money or something in the old school type way? Well, he would say if you're spending more than your income, that is bad. And right now, that apparently is what we're going to get tomorrow, which would mean inflation is still in the play, which means we need to go look at gold. So let's go look at gold real quick. Gold able to beat down. This is an area where you can get a good reaction, okay? Remember, this is one that I played early in the week. This was my winner for the week. I mentioned it up multiple times last week. Hey, 2-hour divergences look like we can get some kind of pullback down to right here, 215. Where are we at right now? Pretty much right at 215. So we can actually see another turn up. Mainly, we just want to see, does the 30-minute show anything? Well, no divergences or anything like that, but we're pretty much in a channel. Can this go positive? That would be the first thing. Maybe you just want to look at an hourly, see if that can cross up, take a chance on it, see if it wants to make a new high here, take a stop at the low. Okay, now you swing trade this thing up as it is above the 200. So we could see a good reaction here. Maybe we just fill the gap. Maybe that's enough for you to take profit, right? That's still about 8 points there. But really want to wait for that to cross first, because if it breaks through here, then you're going to head towards probably a 205.65. So just be making sure you see the signals. If you take this and it crosses, make sure it goes positive. Okay, that goes positive. Now, does it get past the gap? Maybe this is where I say, okay, I'm going to take a little bit of profit here, let the rest ride, and then play the top of the range here, play the top of the channel. Oil has been beat down for quite some time. I like my 4 hours for oil, and you're noticing what's happening. Well, we're getting up towards the center line. So what could happen here? Well, we could curl down. We could do something like this before we get that real reaction. So right now we broke through our recent trend. So now you could say, hey, the trend most likely is going to head down if we cross over on this MACD. Now, 4 hours is a lot to watch, so maybe a 2 hour would be better. It's a little bit positive, but it's starting to curl over. So maybe that subsides for a little bit here. And then Thursday or Friday, we get that data, and then the oil starts to pump back up. So we'll have to see. But I'm just stating that gold actually looks like for this bullish trend, it doesn't look the worst here. If it can curl up and go positive, we actually could see a strong move from gold going forward. So we do look at gold and stuff like that. Maybe we want to look at Bitcoin, right? We want to look at Bitcoin. I like my 4 hours, and that thing looks like it might need to digest a little bit. And that's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. Now, what could happen from here? We could see a full reaction down like this, and then we see a big move up. So that's what I'm kind of paying attention to. Any kind of reaction down, when does that curl back up into positive territory again? You'll notice that's kind of my thing here because, well, this is a positive trend now. It's in positive territory. So what can I do? Watch this MACD break down, pull back up. Try to keep it as simple as possible. So what could that mean for something like BITO? Well, this thing been coming down pretty dramatically, right? So what can we pay attention to with it? Well, a 30-minute, right? We can see if that 30-minute can kind of curl down towards the center line, see if that curls back up. Okay. But maybe something like Mara, if that can curl back down towards the center line and then curl back up, maybe we get all the way up to this zone around 22 at that point. So you're just looking like we're going up really fast. We need some kind of digestion here. And I think that's why we're kind of hesitating a little bit for the SPY. The SPY's going like, hey, yeah, we're seeing a positive move in the Qs probably because of Tesla and some other stuff, Meta and Tesla. But as of right now, you just want to be like, okay, how could this not end up good for me? Well, if we start to curl down on the SPY showing some weakness, that means the SPY might need to pull back. So we could get screwed based on that info. Market looks like it's slowly reversing this morning. Chip stocks and SPY trickling down, Dow and oil tickling up. Looks like I was correct. SQQQ may be the play. It very well might. If you're looking for a pullback or something like this makes sense. It makes sense to pull back, at least to pull back, a little bit here. I would say the 30-minute really needs to pull back, though. I would say the 30-minute, yeah, rejected the crossing. It's further up into positive, but now it's overbought. Now you really want to see that. So this getting really excited up towards this area. Now you're getting a fake out, right? We're getting a breakout to the top, and now we're reversing down. Remember, the market right here, the options market didn't price in a move higher than this. So anything up here means 68% chance to land here by Friday. So this is where you have to be cautious and maybe look for a pullback before the end of the week. And you could get island reversal, but technically right now this wouldn't be an island reversal until we see like another gap down, I guess, the next day. So if we wanted to, this potentially was like, could have been if we drop down like that, right? This right here, you want to see if price kind of ends up here. I like my island reversals to fully not close the gap, right? Not gap fill, right? They have to stay up like this, and then we see the random gap down, and then that flushes. That's kind of more how that island reversal would play out in my head. Right now, it looks like we're going to pull back throughout the day. Probably a range day. It very well could. But remember, we could just see this happen. We could see this happen. We could see this happen. So we can see a lot. I would just say upside from here is like take profit. Now we see what the structure looks like going forward. This would be a much better entry than this right now. And a lot of calls starting to trickle into the market as of right now. Microsoft fading its move. Let's kind of click through. Let's see. Apple making another move higher. Still not able to fully break down. Still not able to curl down on the MACD. Tesla really starting to fight. This is a great area to take profit, right? Where you open up. Amazon, this starting to curl down. We'll have to see. Maybe Amazon's the first one to do it. That would be very interesting. Now this is trickling up. I think Amazon has a good shot to actually come test these lows if that cross actually happens. So I'm being patient on everything. I'm not trying to play too much downside. I'm trying to see what the direction is for a lot of these stocks. If it's going to base out, there's two things I can do here if I sit on my hands for Amazon. Well, if Amazon does this, right, we come towards that center line and we curl back up, well, then I can take the play up. But if I just am patient and I wait for this, well, now I get a double bottom, and if that curls up, well, I'm going to have divergence. So I'm pretty much just waiting for this MACD to show me the next move and waiting for the price action to show me what that next move is. No! I'm sorry, Paracosm. Let's go look at MU. All right, so the MU saying, yeah, I'm going to go test this low. So MU here, probably going to go test a low down here of 105. If this holds, if that's able to cross over and go negative. Remember, we can hold up. We're by that center line now. We're not overbought. So we actually never were overbought, by the way. But this would be great structure for a trade. If we just do something like this, it would be fantastic looking. Apple not doing that right now, but Amazon starting to give you those signals. NVIDIA starting to, well, look at that. It's starting to come back down. So we were talking about it going to the top of the channel and then starting to fade, getting some kind of little divergence up here. Now we have those divergence, right? We have that flatness of the RSI and MACD very down. So now we have the potential to go into some kind of 5-minute negative trend. We just want to see how many time frames does that really happen with. Yesterday, I didn't stick to my rules and got stung a bit. If it's not perfect, I'm out today. That's how you kind of have to be in a bear market. You want to wait for that perfect signal. It's a lot more about patience and only taking a couple trades a week in a I know this isn't technically a bear market yet, but when volatility starts to come back into the market, it's good to wait for the actual bigger signal. You can see 30-minute swings and stuff like that, but I really like things going outside of ranges and things and only taking a couple trades a week. So the gold one was one of my trades. Now I'm kind of chilling. And look at that. We're starting to tip over. So now the 5-minute here about to confirm this divergence. Do we break through that trend? That's going to be the thing here. But yeah, if anything, it's like, hey, stick to your rules, stick to your strategy, and try to make sure it's the perfect setup in a scenario like this. We knew the bounce was coming. We kind of told you probably right the day before. We saw some more red the day we were talking about it, and then the next day we get that bounce. So we expect a bounce. Now we can expect a pullback. But make sure we're still like and subscribe, and really appreciate you guys joining me today. I hope all of your trades go well. I hope if you have one that's wrong, you're able to learn from it, right? Able to learn from it. That's going to be a huge thing. A bad trade can still be an opportunity if you take it as a opportunity to learn. Now we just want to sit and watch, see if this is able to confirm anything and go negative. Because if that goes negative, we're probably breaking through the trend here, and we're going to start some kind of pullback on the 30-minute. Tesla now up 13%. Look at that bad boy. Starting to get outside of that move again. So another opportunity to take profit, pretty much. It's a great trade if you took it. I mean, it's just a ballsy one because it's on earnings. And you kind of got lucky because those numbers were not good. So pretty much on Tesla, I'm just gonna say this on Tesla: if you did take a call here, maybe you were weighing like, hey, someone was saying at the end of yesterday's live, hey, is Tesla more likely to bounce up just because it's been beat down? People are so negative on it. You could make that argument, but overall, it's like if they didn't give any of that news, you would have been wrong. Look at these numbers. That's really, really, really bad. So I am very doubtful that this really holds. I really, really doubt this holds. Robotaxi, Tesla bots, Neuralink, AI, etc., Tesla will rise. And it is. It's already there. I'm just saying if it wants to rise further, we're probably going to need some kind of structure going forward. But there will be a pullback. Yeah, happy Friday. Congratulations. Happy Friday. Ooh. I have the 30-minute for the SPY up while watching the 5-minute over here, just watching the 30-minute over here in my trading list. And because like this is my entire trading list, I just have certain stocks that I like look at more closely. And right now I'm really going with the ones that I trust. Like I took AMD out. I still have Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, Microsoft, AMD, Meta. But right now you're seeing pretty much on the 30-minute here. I'll just show it to you real quick. Look at this thing. It wants to pull back. It really does. Look at that. It wants to. But we'll see if that's actually able to happen. This is still a good area to pull back, even with this little false breakout. I'm just glad we didn't do this, right? If we did that, I'd be like, oh no, a rug pull could be coming. So we'll pay attention to this. One thing about Tesla that was very interesting, I actually was looking for fun. I actually looked at the puts and calls of this thing, and you had like a huge put wall at 150 above the price that it's at right now. So people had big puts right here, and now they're getting squeezed out. So you do have potential for further squeezing just because we came above 150. Be very, very clear about that. Now, as we hit these areas up here, people will probably take profit in this area, at least the day traders and things like that by end of day. Let's still look at a 5-minute. We need the 5-minute signal to confirm first before we even watch that 30-minute. Honestly, you want to see this start to confirm. Let's spread this out so you guys can see it nice and clear. Maybe Veritiv earnings will boost AI stocks, especially SMCI. It looks like AMD's seeing that boost, Kevin. VIC, we can look at that. Netflix just got hammered. Okay, let's go take a peek at Netflix, and then we'll look at Bank of America. Oh, Netflix. Okay, so there it is. 30-minute crossing over negative territory. Most likely we are heading towards 543.31 again. Now, from this, what can we see? Okay, that's a strong move down. So now the likelihood of testing this low, going and making a new one. Oh, shut up, you little cow. Bruce is behind me mooing or something. So if this wants to come down, that's perfectly fine. Now we'll look for the setup here if that shows its face. We'll look for that setup. But until that setup comes, you have to say negative territory. Most likely Netflix going to head down from here. Amazon starting to confirm more downside. We'll see if that crosses over. AMD starting to fade the move. NVIDIA, trying to fade the move, I would say. Meta fading the move as of right now. Microsoft trying to fade that move too. So you're seeing a lot of stuff fade to the downside. SMCI, solid move up, but you're right in between two ranges here. So I think SMCI actually has a very good opportunity to do something like this again. I think SMCI looks great for something like that. And we can even go like a shorter time frame, maybe a 15-minute, and you'll see what do we got? Divergence right now. So SMCI telling you like, hey, the momentum's dead here. If I can go negative on the 15-minute, I'm probably going down towards these lows of 682, or at least back into this zone, maybe the bottom side of that, 697. What's the other one? Bank of America. Looking at this guy, starting to see that big rotation. Financials doing pretty good here. One thing to note about this, 2-hour divergence maybe. Nope, no 2-hour divergence. So this is just a strong move. So when you see a big, strong move like this, that is massive. It's massive, and notice there's no structure in it. So you got to be a little careful. You want to see this consolidate at some point. Because right now, what's happening with Bank of America? Ooh, we're setting up maybe a triple divergence. So even if we do come to the top here, right, we could react something like 39.50, makes a lot of sense. But does that fade from there? And then do we take out this low after? If that starts to happen, well, you're in triple divergence. Now you're finally going negative. What happened to Bank of America the last time that we curled from positive into negative territory? Well, you can see here from the top, we came down, what, 25% in about 4 months. Okay, so from here you would say, okay, well, what if we go in negative again? Maybe we're up towards this 39.50 and we go down 25%. Okay, we'd be back into some liquidity down here. So we could see that happen. Remember, daily, though, it's going to take some time for that to play out. This took 4 months to happen, so this could take 4 months to go down 25%. But we can catch trades on the way down. So if this is going to make another upward move towards 39.50 at this point, I'd really like to see some structure, get back into this liquidity. Maybe we go down all the way to something like right in here, 36.50, 37 level, and then we see that curl back up. That would be a better entry than this right here. Hopefully that was helpful. And if you ever have trouble understanding anything we're talking about, it's probably a good time to take the course. You have 11 days left. As we are seeing some craziness in the market, it's going to be harder to trade. So get that course. It's $149 for the next 11 days, guys. I took a vote and a bunch of people wanted some kind of discount, so I just made it 149 for the next 11 days. Yeah, hopefully that was helpful, J. Cole. And Fabiola, I hope you caught that. They did specifically call out NVIDIA chips. Okay. Check the gold. Gold, this is an area where we can see a bounce. This is the play that I took this week. This is where we can see a bounce. We'll have to see, though. Looks like it kind of wants to curl down, right? Maybe break through some structure here. If it breaks through this channel, we're looking at 205.65. I think that's a great level to pay attention to. Now, this was here the trade that we actually were talking about for a long time last week. We were just showing you all the divergences. This is a move I scaled into on the first one, scaled into again with the double top here. And then, boom, that move happened very, very quickly. So I'm already out of it. I made, I think, 90%. Chances SMCI goes down, well, just pay attention, 30-minute. If that rolls over, then you have a very high probability of going down to the lows. So as of right now, you could pay attention to a 15-minute, see if this wants to confirm on the MACD, right? Or the RSI crossing that center line. That would be a good confirmation. And then if the MACD is able to fully go negative after that happens, well, then you're most likely testing the low or going to make a new one. Lucas, we are in. I sign out and log back in and it worked. Okay, thank you. I really appreciate that. I was worried. I was like, God dang it. I hate when technical stuff happens on Patreon because all I can do is like email them and they take a little bit of time to get back to me. So from a random ass dog to Philip Morris. Hey, still take the win. Take the win. You know what I mean? Bank of America is direct partners with BlackRock via Coinbase and the Fed agreements, moving to incorporate and traditional finances into digital Web3 cross-border ETF costs. 0.001 per transaction. Is that a good thing? I think meme coins go away very soon. And I'm going to be honest about that. I think that most of the time, at some point, the winner will be selected. And I think there's maybe going to be like 3. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Ripple, things like that are things that I pay more attention to. But things like even Doge could stick around. But when you get into the Shiba coin and anything that's lower than Shiba coin, I'm really thinking that it's a time where we're going to see some of that stuff start to go away. Doesn't mean like it has to go away right now. That's my vision for the future for crypto. I think that's how Bitcoin ends up going to 100K in the future or past 100K, which I still think is going to happen. But I think like we're going to see some kind of crash that sets Bitcoin back down to maybe even like 13,000. And then a lot of those shit coins go away. And then we see a big boom in Bitcoin just because all that money goes and flows into Bitcoin. That's just what I think is going to happen. But you can still just look at the technicals and look for swings on those little coins. Is everything above? Not everything. Everything is not. The SPY and the Qs are in NVIDIA. Yeah, the momentum will be dying out up here. If I just look at the 5-minute, guys, in the shorter term, the 5-minute is telling you like, hey, there's probably going to be some kind of pullback going on over the next couple of days. That's what's scary is the fact that we need a pullback before earnings or something. And if any kind of earnings comes out as bad throughout tonight and going into tomorrow morning, could be pretty ugly. So that's why I'm at least glad we're not going up towards like this zone up here towards that 509 area. Really happy about that. If we can pull back throughout the day today and maybe pull back a little bit tomorrow, even something like this just in the morning, and then we see a reaction up, I'd be pretty happy. I'd be happy to the bull side. I'd be like, okay, we have potential for the structure is here now. One of them's definitely going to be chosen by banks. And that's kind of, yeah, that's what I'm overall saying. Are they going to really choose Dogecoin to be the thing that they're going to use for trading back and forth between countries and stuff like, no, probably not. Like their transactions. Now, Dogecoin does have faster transaction times. That's kind of cool. But Bitcoin's more trusted. That blockchain on the Bitcoin more trusted, I think, at this point. So I think you got to say Bitcoin, Ethereum, maybe Ripple. Hey, Alan, how's it going, man? Hope everyone's doing good out there. We've got Brian who subbed today, so welcome, Brian, everyone. Alrighty, and let's just make sure we're being diligent here. Looks like that 5 minute could be crossing over very soon. So what's happening in the queues? Starting to fade the move. Starting to fade the move. We're above that weekly expected move. You now have, well, you have a flat divergence across the way here. So I would be leaning towards a pullback. Where could that pullback hold up? Well, if we're going to break through this trend right here, then I would say maybe we do something like this and we go all the way down to this one. That would be solid structure going into the end of the week. It really would. And if we start to lose that, then you could be like, okay, now we have a potential to test the lows down here. So right now you're just looking for that pullback. And then if it starts to break through these, like both trends, then you'd say, okay, this might be a little bit more than a pullback. Hey, that's fine to have an opinion on all things like that. Gonna reload lower. Nice, Brian. That's all right, Brian. Keep flipping back and forth. It's fine. At least you had a small profit there. The Patreon daily expected moves have been a really helpful tool, so thank you for doing those. Yeah, and remember, guys, at the on pretty much we're gonna have it till May 4th. If you're part of the Patreon, you get your name in the hat. Trade like water. I like to see it. We'll make some T-shirts soon. But if you're looking for maybe to get some one-on-one time with me, we're gonna give 1 hour's worth of one-on-one time away. And I'll just work with one individual. We're just going to put all the names from Patreon in a hat. And if you bought the course, you get 2 entries. So if you're part of Patreon and you take the course, you get 3 entries into that. We're just going to pull a name. Give someone an hour over the weekend to just sit and look at charts and talk about stuff, ask questions. Anything related to the indicators, related to the course is and related to maybe finding when I should confirm signals, finding when I should get out of a trade, things like that. And taking the course will really help you able to figure out those things and learn those things really. But I figured some one-on-one time would be fun. If you're thinking about taking a course, well, you might just get some one-on-one time with me if you take my course. Apple, or if you're part of the Patreon. So pretty cool. Apple's still not wanting to turn around yet. Remember, still paying attention to the 30-minute here. Climbing up to higher levels. Got to pay attention to my signals here. So now we're seeing, SPY on the 30-minute starting to want to curl over. We'll have to see what happens with that. Q's not as close to crossing. Apple, not necessarily towards its weekly expected move, but Tesla now giving that false breakout. So Tesla breaking out to the upside. I have a different drawing on my other chart, my trading core chart, so I want to see. I think I like this one better. I like this one better. So Tesla here, now you could say, it's lining up to be some kind of pullback before I actually get into this move. Amazon really starting to drop now, down 1%, about to cross. Hasn't even crossed on the MACD yet, but you notice the RSI's crossed the center line. This is the point where you'd say, okay, I could take it because RSI crossed the center line. Okay, now if that MACD crosses, I can hold it a little bit longer. If that MACD goes negative, I can hold it a little bit longer. Just keep moving my stop down. And then if that MACD goes negative, you could say, okay, target the low here, 173.42. Good little trade setup there. See if anything else. AMD is starting to fade the move. Meta looking like it might fade that move. And Netflix getting the confirmation right there. So Netflix crossing the center line on the previous bar, right? So crossing the center line on this bar here. Now you're looking for that cross of the MACD. Okay, that's good. You can hold on to that. Now you can put your stop maybe at the middle of this bar. Say it's not going to go above these moving averages, things like that. You can move it down. And now you could say, hey, maybe I put my stop right here, 563.89. Then that keeps going down. Okay, now I can move my stop a little lower, play the bottom here, 541. So that's it. I mean, if that happens, it's a 19-point move for Netflix. It's a good move. SPY has inverse head and shoulders on 30-minute. I want to see if I see anything like that. Yeah, so the head and shoulders on the 30-minute that could form is what I'm really talking about. So this here is great. This is a great area to see that resistance come in. We pull back, we do something like this. People start to put a bunch of puts in the market, and then boom, we see that turn back up. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards, something like this. I was looking for a bullish trade on it. Yeah, Netflix, you don't want to be taking any kind of bullish trade at a moment like this. Now, if this was a fake out and you see that turn right back around, okay, well, we have structure, right? We have this, we have this. If that can turn right back around, get above the center line on the RSI here, okay, boom, there's your trigger. And now maybe we head up and go try to fill this gap or get some kind of retest in this area. That would be very, very cool. But when I don't see divergence or anything like that, and I'm looking for the best setups, I want that divergence and then that proof of divergence proving itself right here, getting that 2 hour to cross back up, and now we go get that retest. That's what I would be kind of patient for. But if I wanted to trade this, I would just say, okay, see if that can scoot back up at any time, because it can just go right back to positive. You just have to be very reactive. Tesla short on the pump. I mean, this is where it would make sense. It would make sense. You're outside of the weekly expected move. Remember, we're giving this. This is what we give on Patreon, guys. So if you're not a part of the Patreon, this is what we give on Patreon, and notice how useful it is, right? We're starting. This is exactly where we go to, and we're seeing that fade come in just above it. That's because you have a 68% chance by Friday to land in this zone. So this is something very, very cool. This is what we pay attention to, and a lot of stuff is not hitting its weekly expected move, except for the SPY and the keys, right? The actual market hitting these. But if you go look at like Apple, Amazon, Nvidia's outside of it right now. So Nvidia's outside of it, about to break trend. Now, could we see some kind of downturn? Yes, we need some kind of pullback here. What could we do for Nvidia? Well, positive side, what if we just hold up at this gap fill, we turn right back up? Well, that would turn us right back up towards positive territory. This would mean a second leg is most likely coming. If that starts to break down below this gap, what would I target? Okay, target the low here, because what if I create some kind of divergence first? That would be very, very good for Nvidia, for a trader, right? It would be a good setup for a trader. So now we can pay attention to, well, let's see if the 5-minute confirmed anything. Okay, 5 minutes starting to confirm some downside here. First step, now we need that to go negative because you're kind of still piling up in this area. Cool thing with Luke, it's going up or down. Yeah, well, that's kind of the thing. You don't know which way it's going to go. You just want to kind of play it in your head, the scenarios, and be like, is it going up? Well, let me look for this to happen in the next 2 hours. Is it going down? Let me look for this to happen in the next hour. Okay, that's kind of how I think about it. And then I just react to whichever one I see happen. Meta up after earnings, no one knows. 50-50 shot on that. And tons of competition in the any car industry. Just know that that's one of the businesses where companies fail the most. So it's kind of like Bitcoin when we said like, hey, one of them's going to be the top dog at the end of the day. Hey, whoever's the big EV company will be top dog at the end of the day. Tesla has a good shot at it being Tesla. Maybe people like Rivian and things like that. A shot what Meta will be down. Mark sold a shit ton of shares. That's the best thing I've learned from you, helping me a lot. Yeah, reacting is much better than trying to predict anything. If I see divergence, sure, I can take that play, but then I have to be aware of how I can get screwed out of a play. How to be aware of how can I stay in this move is a very, very good thing to think about. Can I stay in this move? Okay, well, it crossed over on the MACD, so I'm in. All right, now if that curls up towards the center line and curls back down, should I stay in that move? Well, does it look like a move that I could scale into? Was it a huge reaction? Did I make enough money to get out and then get back in? You know, that's kind of more how I see things. We're going down towards it. Now, we can use this as support here. I mean, these are strong moves, and I don't think we really get any info today that could lean us one way or the other. Throughout the rest of the day, if this sentiment holds, you're maybe just looking at some profit taking going on. Uh, yeah, we actually were stating multiple times, take the technicals with a grain of salt with any earnings, right? We talked about this multiple times. We had some people saying, this could curl down into negative territory. Well, first of all, if you were trading the technicals here, you don't take a short. You still don't take a short right here because you haven't got confirmation of anything just yet. And this just doesn't look like good behavior. And you have earnings the next day. So if you're really trading based on the technicals and based on my rules with technicals, it would say don't do anything with earnings. So you shouldn't be trading Tesla at all. If you made money on this move, it was 100% luck, in my opinion. If you made move to the downside on this move, I'd say the same thing. But now that you're at the weekly, you could say, hey, this has potential to base out. This is the direction it chose. So if you see this 30-minute go like this and then curl up, this would be a better entry for that positivity that's coming with the earnings than trying to 50-50 it being wrong, right? That's all I would say. But I love being lucky. Yeah, see this type of stuff. If you start winning on this type of stuff, you're going to convince yourself you're right all the time. And anytime I see this and this and this, it's going to go this way. What was it? It was Netflix. Netflix showing you what? Well, it was showing you consolidation at the high here could curl up and go positive. What did it show you on the 2-hour? Well, back here, it actually was looking like it was curling up. It had divergence. If you wanted to, you could say double bottom here. But this is where we said you have double bottom that could happen here. Hasn't confirmed or anything like that yet. But what could be happening from this move? Well, we have earnings, so we could see that drop off. So even though this structure looked decent for consolidation to head higher, it dropped out. That's why we don't trade around earnings. It's just, and the thing is, this will piss a lot of people off because these are good numbers. These are great numbers. Stock go down. Tesla, these are bad numbers. Stock go up. That's why you don't do it. Yeah, and that's why 5-minute, we're kind of like, when I look at a 5-minute, I'm more just like looking to see if this is going to confirm. I think it would be fun to look at. I'm still waiting. I still only trade really based on the 30-minute and the 2-hour. Once I see structure there, I might look at a 5-minute to find an entry point, like if I want to get a nice price. But most of the time, I can just look at the 30-minute, see if that divergence confirms, play the downside for 3 to 10 points, and then be out of the move. And if I want to hold it for longer, I have that ability because I take a further out expiration. Yeah, we can check on the dollar real quick. Let's see if the dollar's breaking out or anything like that. Dollar coming down. Remember, dollar on the 5-minute. You want to look at bigger time frames on this as well. 2-hour actually turning back down here. So you're in negative territory. That's the first thing. So I think you want to see if the 4-hour can remain negative. If the 4-hour starts to curl up, you probably have the next leg down in the market. Volatility, same thing. 4-hour curls up. Probably if the 2-hour is able to fully go positive here, curl up, go positive, that would be your next leg down in the market. Bitcoin, hard to say with Bitcoin right now. It just looks like the 2-hour, right, rolling down, going negative. So I want to bring up a 4-hour. I like my 2-hour and 4-hour for this. Now you're curling down. You're breaking the recent trend. So what could we do? Well, we could head down towards the center line, see that base out, 4-hour towards the center line, curl back up. That's probably the next move higher. What would I play towards? Well, the top of my flag up here. And then I'd look for, is that going to do the same thing again? Do we do something like this, 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 and then we see a breakout? So that's what I'd pay attention to. If you're going to see this go lower, then you're going to see it fully go negative and most likely test these lows down at 59.8K. Hi, Lucas' wife. Hi, Lucas' baby. Yeah, she's just crying a little bit right now. That's all right. We're getting her out and about today. So now, like, if you're trading, like my signals would say, hey, wait for the setup. This wouldn't say, hey, it crosses over into negative territory. I'm not going to be like, oh, I know that I can make money on this move down, so I'm going to wait for it. No, I'm going to wait for the perfect setup in an environment like this. I'm going to wait for a better setup with my trading signals and my setups. And if you want those setups, 149 down in the description. You can take the course. You only got 11 days left. HYG, what's this doing? Well, that thing's starting to turn down. So HYG breaking down, TLT breaking down while the market goes up. Usually not a good sign. Right, this is smart money selling while we're actually positive on the SPY and Qs, and we're hitting the top side ranges. So a little bit worrisome in this area. Wait for your plays to come to you and never move your stop. No, you got to move that stop. If you're starting to win a little bit, turn a win into a definite win by moving that stop up. As long as you're green at the end of a trade, it wasn't a bad trade. TFC, I don't think we looked at this. I don't know if I've even... All right, these are looking a lot like Bank of America here, but... Oof, goodness, got to look at a daily then. Yeah, this is that triple divergence, kind of like Bank of America here, so... It's a good move, right? Maybe you're in the move here. Swing trading perspective in the move here because the RSI crossed above that center line. You can take a chance on it. Boom, you get that confirmation on this bar here that you're going to see some more upside. Now you're getting that more upside. Look out for a triple top up here. But do you have the signals for a triple top? Not necessarily. You really don't. I mean, you do have a divergence across the way here, but this divergence just got kind of invalidated. These divergences here. Now you might be having a new trend. So if this wants to base out and go higher, I'd just look for a 30-minute pullback. And this is what I'm saying, why I think we could see a reaction all the way down is the 2-hour getting close to the center line. What do? Well, we could be seeing some kind of move like this, and then we see that 2-hour divergence prove itself down towards this area. And then Friday, we see some kind of pop at end of day, and then we get some more stuff going on next week. So that's what I'd pay attention to if we're going to see that happen. See how I'm just like thinking of scenarios that could play out. Whichever one I see happen is the one I take once I see the signals confirm it. Yeah, JS, anytime. Can't really figure out the chart for this one. Matt? Yeah, people look at that too. We can take a solid look at that. Oh. Okay, let's start off on the daily here. Daily crossing up. Okay, that's a strong move. You're still below the 200. That's kind of bad. But you do have some structure in here. You have possibility for head and shoulders at this point. You could see that breakout. I would say if you were in this move, you're below the 200. I'd like to get above the 200 before I even talk about swing trading. So maybe we'll just look if this move is going to fade. Well, that's a big, big move, right? So most likely you will consolidate in this area. But you could say, where do you want to make that handle? Probably right here. This would be a great place to get that structure and then break out. And then you'd be above the 200 and you'd say, okay, this is looking positive over the next couple months or something like that. But as of right now, you're just seeing, well, we have the possibility for that to happen. Maybe consolidation at this point is what you should look for. Strong move, though. 30-minute. We're just watching this 30-minute pretty diligently here. I don't think I've ever looked at this one, so take it with a grain of salt. I mean, you got 30-minute divergence. Looks like it could curl over again, maybe for a scale in here. You are tapering. That's a good thing. 2 hours crossed. If you get that 30-minute triple divergence, I think you'd be in a better spot, actually. If you got that 30-minute triple divergence, you'd be able to go a little bit lower. Maybe go back into this area here where some buyers were at, where we saw that breakout, and then we could see something turn up. So I'm not saying this can't turn up with this little divergence here. I'm just saying I think I would be more confident in taking a bounce on this if I saw this push down, if I had some weekly expected moves, which I don't for this one. So right now, I'd just be maybe looking for this type of thing to happen. But if that goes positive, you can just pay attention, see if that goes positive. Okay, maybe you take a chance on it. That's fine. But I'd just be careful. You're below the 200 and things like that, right? Wait. No, you're above the 200. Okay, so you're above the 200. So maybe a reaction down to the 200 is what you'd like to see as we're struggling at the 5. So if we could react down towards like a 266.50 and then see that buy back up above this 5 and then see some signals confirm here, we could actually see another upward move. If we start to lose the 200, not a good sign. And the cool part about the SPY on the daily, by the way, since we're looking at a daily chart on the other one here, is look where that 20-day moving average is, Q's 20-day moving average right above us. So some resistance comes in with that. It would make total sense. Finally, a red bar on the histogram. The problem is you're still in positive territory, so you need that to go negative. How come the VIX and SPY in green at the same time? That could just mean that volatility is going up while the SPY is going up. So that could mean, these are technically calculated by the calls a month out. So that would mean that people are still seeing volatility increasing over the next month at this moment. And the SPY just is higher at this time. So that's a signal you can pay attention to. What is it? Well, volatility is going up, and the SPY is up right now outside of its weekly expected move. So the likelihood for volatility to come in right now is actually a little bit higher. We'll have to see, but I really think we're going to see maybe a pop and then a drop back down to 15. I think testing 15 would be very, very good for the VIX. But we'll see what happens going forward. Pretty much we have to see what this move is. If it's a complete breakdown or if it's some kind of pullback. That's going to tell you a lot with the ball. Stock market will soon follow. Bitcoin moving down 2% here. This is what we were talking about on the 4-hour. Confirm that move. So you'd say a pullback is coming. What could happen? Well, it really depends if we're able to go negative here. If we're able to go negative, we might see this ripped away because that would be a big move. You're crossing the center line. You have to say, now I can see if this wants to do something like that. But as this does go negative, you would say, okay, test the low, make a new one. If we make a new one, we're breaking through structure. Elmo burning off. What if it's the move we break 60K? If you break through these lows down here, I mean, you just look out for divergence, anything like that can screw you over. But I'd be looking at the daily, looking for some moving averages. I don't trade Bitcoin too often anymore. But you notice in this, rejection on the daily, usually not a good sign. But that could just mean, right, that this turn up is going to come later. So if we're going to see this break through this, look for the 200. If we're going to see it do this and then wick out, 4-hour double bottom down here would look very nice. And then maybe we break out of this flag. So at this point, 4-hour signal is what I'd pay attention to. If you don't see that confirm, well, then you're probably heading lower. That's what I would say. Past this 59.8K. Things are really starting to turn a little bit. Let's see if that 30-minute, we already got that red bar. Now we have to see if it breaks through the trend. And then we want to see from there, does the 30-minute go negative? Or is the RSI able to cross the center line first? JP Morgan, like I said, these are a lot of bullish moves. 2-hour here could be what to pay attention to. If the 2-hour can roll over, that'd be good. I wish we had 30-minute divergence in this, but this is such a strong move that we didn't necessarily see that. But the 2-hour, you're looking for some kind of consolidation here. If you want to see it go higher, make another move higher, 30-minute gets close to the center line. That's what I'd be paying attention to for JP Morgan. See this MACD just get real close to that center line, maybe even go negative briefly and then turn back up. That would be where the second move most likely happens. And then from there, I'd like that 2-hour rolling over with some divergences, right? I'd like to see this happen and then get some kind of divergence for that 2-hour to roll over. If you just start rolling over now, that 2-hour rolls over, you're probably going to go down to these lows again, to be honest. Some selling coming into the SPY. How's Tesla holding up? Ooh, starting to fade a little bit, right where we expect, right here, right in this area. At least we have a point to pay attention to, right? It's nicer when you have a point to pay attention to. What if you were like, oh, I don't know where that weekly move is. Is it up here? Is it over here? Is it down here? This helps us out a lot. Amazon still creeping lower. All right, I'm going to leave you guys on the SPY just for a moment. I'm going to take a short 2-minute break, and I'll be right back. Make sure to give the channel a like while I am gone. Use this as an opportunity right now during this 2-minute break to like the channel. Maybe go look at the Patreon, see if it's something you're interested in, or if you need a course or something like that, check that out, okay? All of that's down in the description, but I appreciate you guys being here, and I'll be right back in about 2 minutes. And we're back. We are back. All right, big moment for the SPY. Looks like we had some downward pressure while I was gone. Very, very cool to see. All right, now we got to see if we can break through this little trend here. That's what's going to be important. You want to zoom in just a little bit here. Maybe we go into a 5-minute. We see, is this able to go negative? And notice how cool this is, that if we break through the trend, we'd be negative. So that's kind of cool. Okay, good. I didn't do it this time, guys. I didn't mute my mic when I came back. You guys hear a QQQ chart again? Yeah. Here, I'll pull it back to a 30-minute for you. There you go. That way you get the full, all the lines that you need. I'll give those to you. This 30 minutes still not crossing as of right now. You can see how high up we are now, so the next move could be a big one. If we can get some kind of good pullback, I'd be very excited to see another upward move. Back to the future. Hey, I missed it, but thank you so much for subscribing. Really appreciate you being here. I'm going to click through while you're on the cues here. I'm just going to click through and look for anything happening. There's the volatility starting to scale up a little bit as the SPY drops off. SPY actually going negative here. Looks like we need to switch back just for a moment here just to see, is that 5 minute going to roll over and go into negative territory? We'll have to find out. This is the moment you've been waiting for some kind of pullback to prove itself. Come on. All right, let me look through here. Nvidia still holding up. Meta looking like it wants to curl down. Faded the entire move for Meta. Google already crossed. TLT heading lower. Higher. Now we can see if volatility is going to creep back into this market. Well, what can we do? We can watch for the SPY to make a negative trend, and then we can probably say, hey, yeah, volatility is coming back in. How much volatility? That's the question. So as we are going negative right now, we'd see this next 5 minutes if we can break through. What are my thoughts on TLT? I think soon TLT is going to pop off. I really do. Down in these areas here, I think it's a good shot it pops off, but it doesn't mean those yields can't go higher. Now I'm looking for signals here, but you don't always get those signals because the 10-year, all these yields, they react for a longer amount of time. So you can just really need to pay attention very closely to TLT, more to support and resistance levels. So if we can get down in this zone down here, I'd say 2-hour divergence in this zone, I'd be convinced. And then I just want to see, are these yields able to top out? Right now you're seeing some cup and handling, right? You're getting a lot of handling in here. You even have maybe a head and shoulders in here. So this has potential to raise up. GDP is usually good for the, GDP usually gives a positive print. If that positive print comes, we will say, hey, inflation is still here. We need to fight it. TLT will drop off. And then we can maybe see a 2-hour divergence. So I just pay attention going on into Thursday and Friday because those are when we actually get data drops. VIX now up almost 2%. So let's go back over to the SPY. Look for that 30-minute to cross. Is crossed as of now. So now we want to zoom way in. Let's zoom way in for fun. Look at that 5 minute. We're reacting right off of our trend right now. It's a perfect trend line in the world, but it's a trend line. So now's where you really need to break down. Now's where you need to see that breakdown. Break through that trend, see some kind of flush, go down towards, actually, the daily expected move would be nice, this area right in here. Neither will spending. Yeah, that's kind of the point of why those yields will actually start or keep going up, right? Because now we're in a time where we kind of have to print money, if you want to say it that way, and that's not a good thing for inflation, right? We have to keep going into more and more debt, and then these GDPs are going to be a good number. But if they just posted the debt increase with every GDP, it would be a lot less likely people are so positive about it. Now, TA and option strategy course. I need to get better at technicals, and I have found TA and option strategy course really detailed and very helpful to build up my charting. Go get it if you want technical improvement. There you go. So thank you so much for saying that, Anthony. I really do appreciate it. I love that, people who are taking the course, they literally come in here and they talk very highly about it. And I'm glad that it's helping. I mean, Luke said it last week. A guy, Luke in here said it last week, how he was able to make all his money back from taking the course in one trade the next week. And I thought that was just awesome. It means you're learning something in there. It could be you have a good knowledge of some stuff, but maybe you just need to see it in a different way, and it will really, really help you out. I thought years ago, a couple years ago, I really thought I had a good handle on the MACD. And then when we go into a volatile market, I was like, maybe I need to go more in depth with this. Let's really think about this. Let me take some notes on this. Let me really research this. Okay, maybe this is more important than I think. And then I started to do that, and then it actually became one of the biggest things. So how long is the course? You could probably finish it in one day. Literally one day. It's a course. It's probably got, I think it's got like 10 topics that we go through. So 10 topics you go through, and you can watch it multiple times. It's yours once you buy it. So, and I actually encourage you multiple times in the course, like, hey, first of all, message me if you have questions. I don't want it to be you take the course and then it's just like, okay, do whatever. If you have questions, I will answer them. Just message me on Patreon, shoot me an email. I give my email multiple times in the course. Multiple times. That way you're not just like, okay, I understand what he's saying, but how do I do this? How do I do that? People have plenty of questions like that. So I'm always there to answer the questions. And the other thing is, I encourage you to, if you're seeing a setup and you're iffy on it, right? You see a 30-minute divergence, you're iffy on it. Go back to the divergence portion. Be like, okay, what are we looking for here? Go back to the weekly ranges. If you're thinking about, how you can use the weekly ranges even today, maybe you go watch that weekly range and you hear me say, hey, it's a good profit taking tool. So it's really, really good. And I appreciate all the good words about it. You guys are awesome. But yeah, Matthew, you should if you're diligent about it, I would say you could take it in a day. I would say maybe try to be a little bit more invested in it, meaning take out a notebook, take a few of the portions, maybe the indicators portion. Okay, write down some notes and then build your own strategy maybe, but just in case you don't, I give you a bear market strategy. I give you a good option strategy. And weirdly enough, that option strategy, it can work in any market. You just want to make sure you're going with the trend if it's bullish. Yeah, I put it on 2x and flew through over an afternoon. It then rewound to the parts I need to rehear. That's awesome, Luke. Hey, you're taking it your way. I like that my USDC is 1-to-1. Yeah, you talk about USDC a lot. To the dollar, and the bank isn't using my money to make bets on investments. That's good too. That's good too. It's like, yeah, for every $1,000 you put in, they put $900 of it to invest and give people loans, and then that's how fake money is created. And $10,000 or $1,000 turns into like $50,000 or something at the end of the day. You want to take some time to absorb the details, but it is definitely something that can be done in a day off. And yeah, that's the point. Like if you need it, it's quick, it's very efficient, it's very simple, and that's truly how I see the stock market. I think you can make it more simple than it really is. I'm looking forward to the future, my friend. Hey, that's great. That's great. You're predicting things. You're like, hey, I'm doing this move because in the future this is starting to happen. Okay, Tesla's starting to roll over. Let's go look at Tesla. Strong move for Tesla, able to roll down on a 5-minute. So really, I'd be looking at the 15 on this, or the 30 for a little bit better confirmation. But I think the 15, now you have a good opportunity to curl down like this. And maybe the second move does come. But you have to be worried about Tesla up here. These are very bad numbers. So if that does just give up the whole gains, it would make sense. You're like, sorry, Tesla, I took a call on you here, so now you're going to go down. My bad. Oh, God. AMD giving up all its gain as well. Meta giving up all its gain as well. So you have to say, gap and trap is here. I think my voice just cracked. 5-minute, are we breaking through? Not just yet. So, I mean, we could see some kind of little pop here. This would make sense, right? We see the little bit of structure. We see it break down through this level. Okay, left head, maybe right shoulder. Maybe we break down. Sold all your Tesla. Good. Good for you. I hope it was a good trade for you. I really, really do. And this is a very smart thing to do. And now you can say, okay, now I can play the next move if I would like. That's how I would see it. Amazon's still trying to break down a little bit. Now you're seeing some tapering come in. Maybe a bounce happens here, and then we start to break down for Amazon. But as this is rolling over on the 30 minutes, a little bit more worrisome. SPY, don't break that trend, dude. Euphoric on earnings, pretty much. So Yeah, that's the problem. It's like, whoa, these earnings were bad, technically. Trying to trade like water and not yell at the screen for the SPY going down. Well, if you're trading like water and you do, if you've taken the course and you do pay attention to the portion of the course that's talking about the weekly ranges, then you should know up in this area not to go long, maybe not even to take a trade. Now, this is in positive territory now. So what would happen from here? Well, if we can base out, then we can see that next push higher. This is much better to invest than this. And if you do see that strong move outside, well, it's going to happen at the end of the week. That would be a better time for a move outside. If you're doing it early on in the week, well, then that thing can pull back. So good likelihood we are going to see a pullback here, curl down towards that center line. Then we'll have to see if that crosses up. If that's not going to curl back up and we're going to go actually negative down here on the MACD, all this stuff we're learning in the course, right? Then we can see that pull down to lower levels, maybe even go back down to where we started and create a double bottom. I'm just saying this is not the sturdiest of bases at this point. So if we wanted to curl down and then curl back up, this would be a solid base to actually see a big reaction, maybe go test a higher level. At this point, though, we do have structure, so you just want to pay attention to both scenarios, see if we could do something like this. That would be better for entry. If we see some kind of big move right now, guys, if we see something like this, I'm just going to warn you right now, that's not going to look pretty. Randy, save me from a loss. Now let's make some money. That's a good... I like it, Randy. I like the attitude. I like it. For Cybertruck to come out after it was teased and now it is being delayed. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. With Tesla, it's like they're giving news about the future and it hasn't even happened yet. So none of that stuff has actually happened yet. That's where it's a by the rumor type of thing. There you go. You're getting some encouragement from Anthony there, Randy. It's okay. It's okay. You can save yourself from a big loss, look for the next trade, and then we could maybe see a trade being taken here. We base out, curl back up. You bet your ass I might be in this move. But if we see this curl way down, go negative, then I'm going to be more patient. Look for structure to head lower, right? Look for structure to get a more sturdy bottom. Yields putting pressure on stocks. Weirdly enough, those yields will put pressure on stocks, but we've been seeing kind of the opposite happen where yields going up, actually the stock market goes up with the yields. So that's interesting. But for now, we're just seeing, hey, a pullback is very, very likely here. Remember, the yields going up means, well, we're still fighting inflation. What's inflated? Well, the stock market's inflated right now. If we didn't have that geopolitical news, do you think we'd be down here? If we didn't have that geopolitical news, we'd probably be up in this area. We'd be up towards like 520. But because we get that news, we actually do see that breakdown, giving us a correction, which is very, very good. Now we can see if we make another upward move over the next, couple days. Yeah, the durable goods order is pointing towards those yields going higher, and now we get more and more data throughout the rest of the week, so we really have to pay attention to GDP. And what do I mean by pay attention? Just see what the reaction is first. Find that flow, right? Look at the rock, find which way leads to the sewer, which way leads to the meadow. Go to the meadow. Go with the trend that is decided after you get the news. And if you have to be patient and wait for that setup, right? We're patient now. Boom, big move. We're patient. Now we can be in this one over here. We're an inch from the death cross. I know this is so close to happening. Seeing that pop up now. But if you go into the daily here, if we start to base out right here, don't necessarily pay attention to any kind of buy signals, guys. Just saying that right off. Like, they can be right, but they can be very wrong. So be careful. Remember, we did just get this crossing down of the MACD here. I still think a reaction down to 15 is possible. And then that would be where I really like it to happen. But if we just zoom in here, you look, they are like so close to crossing that if this confirmed tomorrow, that would not be a good sign. But usually when you get this cross to happen, you want to see a retest of it. So if we get this to cross up and we see some spike in volatility, you want to see if it can hold above that. So you want to see if it can come and retest that. Dollar, this is good, right? Holding right at 105. Looks like some flagging going on here. Can that go higher? Yes, it can. I mean, this could be a moment where things start to get ripped away. Why? Because, well, we're reacting up towards the 20-day moving average. Now, if tomorrow we end a down day and then this actually catches up, we can see if we retake that. That would be a bullish thing. But I think for the rest of this week, we do something like this and maybe we get a higher low or we come test the previous low. Don't surf to the sewers. Yeah, that's pretty much the take. IWM not able to get that cross, getting some resistance at the 20, right where you kind of expect it. So 30-minute, is this able to cross down? Yes, it is. Are we going to break through the trend here? Well, we'll have to see. We're still not doing that as of now. I think the next 30-minute bar is going to be really telling. If we want to see some structure, if we get some kind of little bounce here, I'd really be paying attention to a little head and shoulders. So some kind of brief bounce, and then we just rip through this trend. If we're going to head higher from here, that would be even more worrisome because you don't have a lot of structure to head up. And we can pay attention to some kind of brief diversion. So if we're going to head higher like this, just pay attention to this 508.50. I think that's where that resistance really comes in and we see that start to pull down. I really just would like this to happen. Doesn't matter what I would like to happen though. I'm still going to react based on what's actually happening. Higher dollar is negative for earnings, and that's why it's like any kind of earnings pop and we see the dollar heading higher, you could say it could be insider selling again. It really, really could. And 172 people in here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. I really do. If you could smash that like button for me, I'd appreciate it even more. Helps out the channel. All right, let's see. Are we breaking through? Well, we're going negative. So what did I say? Once we go negative, we're going to start to break through this level. All right, we're breaking through as of right now. New 30-minute bar is going to start printing right now. You're right on TFC. It's curled over testing a low. There we go. So we can go look at TFC as we're getting a little bit of a bounce here for the SPY. We can look at this guy here. Just seeing, a little 5-minute double top possibly happening. But the 30-minute, it just looks like it's cooked and it needs to pull back a little bit more. So I would just be patient, wait for the next curl up. This is a very rapid move, so you can see a more dramatic pullback from this area. See the SPY now we're breaking through trend here, at least on the 30-minute. Maybe we want to pay attention to the 5 because it's going to show it's holding up a little bit better, right? It's shorter time frame, it's able to focus a little more. So if we get some kind of pop here, just be looking for some resistance maybe at that weekly expected move again. We're giving up all the gains though. Smash. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Glad I listened. Welcome, JS. I hope that the technical side's helping you out. I know you like your fundamental side a little bit, but I hope the technical side can help. Anything I can do to help, I'm happy to do it. Help you learn a little bit about these technicals. Ooh, I got something in my eye. Well, if you guys know, we moved, so I'm starting to house shop a little bit. So today we're going to get off in about 30 minutes. I got to go meet up and go look at a bunch of houses. Don't know if I'll buy them. We'll have to see. Microsoft ranges, please. I can't give you those. Those are for Patreon members. I'm sorry. I wish I could, Mr. Perfect. I appreciate you being here. So on Microsoft, I can tell you, just because I don't want to betray my Patreon members, right? I can tell you where those ranges are at, maybe by giving you a brief thing here. I'm just going to tell you there is a huge reaction, and we are not close to it yet. We're about 11 points off on Microsoft from the upside range. I'll make you do a little bit of work for it, but I'll give you that. About 11 points off from the upside range for Microsoft. But a big range to the downside still there, just so you know. You're up above the center of that zone, but about 11 points until you actually reach that top. And most likely that volatility that's priced in will come after Thursday night. You think silver will go back down? Well, if silver reacted anything like gold, then we see that pulled down and pull back up. What can we pay attention to? Well, it's moving sideways. We're seeing that curl up towards the center line. We'll have to find out if this thing's going to curl back down, but if you just hold at these lower levels and then you see that go negative and you take out, I would say this level right here to 24.78, maybe this little area here, 24.74. So I'd say 24.70. You close below 2470, you see this curl down on the MACD, maybe you see a divergence, and then that actually pushes you to curl up this 2 hour and things like that. Is the 2 hour curled up? Not yet. I'd like to see a little bit more structure before. I'd like to see some kind of signal proving itself down here for a base before I get into some kind of upward move. But you see that drop off, very, very similar to gold at this point. Gold dropped off. Now you're seeing that reaction. If the 2 hour does curl up on its own, no signals there, hey, another move higher. Gonna happen. Play the top side here. So we called this one, though, going into negative territory. Just be worried, because if we do something like this, you'll have another point of divergence most likely. So pay attention to how you can get screwed. Just paid for the course on a Tesla put scalp. That's what I'm talking about, Anthony. That's what I'm talking about. NVIDIA we haven't looked at in a minute, so we'll go peek at that real quick. NVIDIA, there it is, 30-minute probably able to cross over at this point. Oh, not yet, but we're breaking through the recent trend. If we start to get outside of this zone here, remember, this is where we expect sellers to come back in. We touch the top of that zone, boom, peels off. So pretty much what we were talking about yesterday in the YouTube video of in the shorter time frame, seeing some kind of pop to the top and then seeing that drop out. Now we're seeing that happen. Needs to curl over. You're right by negative territory, so we can see a pretty good drop here. You think we're green tomorrow? I actually think it depends on if we pull back today. So by the YouTube video tonight, I'll try to give my bullish bearish case, and you'll see how we could go up tomorrow. It depends on what we do for the rest of today, though. If the rest of the day we do something like this, and then at the end of the day I see us curling up, well, I'm going to wait and see if that actually confirms some upside. Now I have to be a little bit careful. There are earnings and things like that, so I'll also be checking the earnings that are coming out later tonight, and make sure they're not going to affect anything going on into tomorrow. But you'd have to say this is very close to negative territory. This is something we talk about in the course, right? So this actually could pull down a lot more dramatic than you think, because we're very close to negative territory. If Tesla ends the day below 160, and that would just be this move fading. Now, a lot of the time when you break out of a very important zone, I know this was a big zone, but it was such a big drop that you're going to have a big zone of support. Okay, what can happen from here? Well, maybe it's like Apple. When we break through a zone, we like to retest it before we actually go higher. That actually would be a good thing. If you get this retest and then that curls back up, you can curl back up into positive territory at the end of the week. Then we get new weekly ranges, and maybe that range is somewhere up here. You play that all the way up towards like 175. Okay, boom, there's my take profit. At that point, then you see that base out again. You just keep doing the same thing every single week. SMCI, this one curling down negative territory is right there. So this one's even closer to negative territory. So I'm really thinking SMCI gives you some kind of divergence before a more solid bounce. So with all this stuff turning down, you have to say volatility is probably creeping up, right? Volatility up 2.29% at this point. SPY getting the sell signal, crossing down, able to break through the trend at this point on the 30 minutes. So now we're looking for the two options here. What can we make? We can make structure. Can that pull down to this level? Yes, it can. And then we'll see if that wants to curl up again by end of week. If it's going to see something more dramatic, it's going to go negative. Most likely when that goes negative, you're probably going to be breaking through this gap fill. So pretty much the lowest I think we go to get that turnaround is this gap fill. Okay, gap fill down in this area, then you can still get that head and shoulders to play out. But if we're going to break through that level, then I'd say, hey, yeah, we're testing this low. On the day up, yeah, that's the rotation into financials, it looks like right now. Now, what financials have earnings? So I might look at some earnings that's going on. Might as well do that before the day ends, before I leave my house. Let's see. If anything important comes out as far as today. Meta's after hours. Is Meta here? Meta's after hours. Ford, Chipotle, IBM. So big earnings coming tomorrow. A lot riding on Meta. So was Zuck selling because of those earnings, or are we going to see this structure proven, right? We have the potential for this structure now. We do have the potential to turn back around here. for the 30-minute looking kind of ugly, like it wants to go fill this gap before we see any of that happen. So what we can pay attention to here, just see if that curls back up into positive territory. If it doesn't, you can maybe hold on to that position, try to play this low or the gap fill at least. What else we got? Anything crazy? Yeah, so I think your most important earnings is going to be Meta. Come on, pal. I need to buy the course. That's true. Get a good trade going. Make $150 and take that course. You know what I mean? Always, yeah. There's always a reason for everything happening, right? There is a reason. It's just when will you actually find out that reason? That's why I like technicals. Technicals, a lot of the time, like you'll see the move before the reason actually comes out. Except for earnings. Earnings seems like it always is just 50-50. But high yield growth heading down while the market was up. That was kind of our first little red flag there. SPY now turning down, going deeper and deeper. So deeper and deeper. QQQ filled the opening gap. You still got to go down to like 425, 19. But now we're coming and testing that weekly expected move. You start to break below that. Excellent course. Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate that. All right, so Meta is what we got to pay attention to for those earnings. Now we're good to go. Let's take a look at Meta. How big of a move does that have priced in? A solid move priced in for Meta. So from where we are at now, if you're not part of the Patreon, we'll tell you this way how you can find those weekly expected moves. You got to do a little work. It is about 8% up from where we are now. So you can see an 8% up move with those earnings from where we are right now. If those earnings are bad, you could actually see a 12 to 13% down move. So right now you're sitting a little above the center line for those weekly ranges. Looks like the 30-minute wants to curl over. But remember, guys, technicals. Sometimes they get thrown out the window for earnings. So if we wanted to see the structure prove itself here, it actually does have a pretty solid head and shoulders. So just keep this in mind that this could be some structure to head up. And really, you just want to pay attention if this curls up. Now, after earnings, we're most likely going to see a direction, right? We're going to see a direction. If that direction is down, we'll look for a divergence because you could get some kind of rebound. Okay, we could get some kind of rebound over here. Pay attention to that. If we're going to see an upward move, okay, we get that upward move. Now let's see. Now we can wait for that to peel down, go towards that center line and cross back up. So don't think you have to trade earnings. You can trade right after earnings. You just have to be a little bit more patient. Microsoft still holding, Google not looking the best, TLT trying to get some kind of bounce with maybe a double bottom here, NVIDIA curling down, but not crossing over and reacting off of the topside weekly expected move as of right now. If you're part of Patreon, you see that reaction. The lines on your chart already. So if you're part of Patreon, you see where we're getting some kind of a little bit of support. And we'll have to see if that's actually going to happen. But I think you still good likelihood that NVIDIA goes and fills this gap very soon. And we're going to do a full breakdown in a moment. Okay, so in about 10 minutes, we're going to do a full breakdown of all the stocks we cover. So let's just watch the SPY and see if we get any kind of flushing in this area. Something you can look at as well for another confirmation of more downside is the hourly going negative and crossing over. That will be, the hourly going negative is more of a sign like, hey, we're going to come fill this gap and potentially go test the lows. So at that point, you'd be like, okay, if I come down to this area, I really want to pay attention to my 30-minute. I really want to pay attention to my 30-minute if that hourly goes negative and see if that gains any ground here, because that could be very, very telling. All right, what you guys chatting about? Netflix negative now on the 30-minute. Is that what you're saying? It's negative? There you go. It's going negative. So Netflix is the one we were talking about. This is a strong move down. Now the most likely scenario is we are going to go test 543.31. If that wants to base out at any time now, because you're right by that center line, if that just crosses back up, you're most likely going to see some kind of move up from this. I just want to be very clear about that because you do have the cup being formed. All right, now we might get a handle. Now this isn't the best structure for a handle, actually. This curving move isn't the best, so I'm really leaning towards some kind of divergence, but I will be paying attention if this just crosses up and goes positive. We're probably taking out this level. We may even head up for a full retest. Core PCE is going to be crazy. I think Core PCE is going to be a big deal. That was earnings this morning. The earnings were in none of the sectors I was in, so I actually didn't see them. How were they? Earnings for Tesla, not the best. Earnings for Tesla was actually very bad. So if we just go over to Tesla, you can see it for yourself. This is a very bad print. Very bad. So I knew people would be frustrated with this if you were short on this. The technicals didn't tell you to go short. They did not tell you to go short. They're not crossed over yet, anything like that. And if you trade based on my rules, it would be why trade around earnings, 50-50 flip. Now you can just watch earnings, watch the craziness, watch all the people that took shorts here lose money, and then see this base out like this and make another move higher, which will probably be just as good. I just want to point that out. It'll probably be another 5% move if we get a good pullback here. The problem with this is now you've gapped above this. So if we start to lose this level of right here, these closing bars, 154.78 level, if we start to lose that, then you'd be worried, hey, we're going to come fill that gap. The good part about this is it got you back within structure, and now you have the potential to head up with some divergence here. So Tesla actually could see some positivity if we zoom out to the daily scale. You zoom out to the daily scale, now you have triple divergence forming down here. So even though Microsoft, other stocks giving you triple divergence that way, Tesla telling you, hey, I'm about to rip to the upside if I can die out on some momentum and get some good news. The only problem with this is you're below the 200. You're still below the 200. It would be nice to more see a wedge, like you break out of the 200, you see a wedge kind of forming like here. This would be a lot more telling that you're going to see a potential more probabilities for upside. Right now, the probability is pop and drop. Oh, yay. Well, SPY still selling off a little bit there. Can you check the NASDAQ? All right, so this is going to look similar, right, to the Qs just a little bit. Now, 15-minute, you have that divergence up here. So 15-minute divergence here. Good likelihood we're going to roll over this 30-minute at this point. That's kind of what the technicals are saying. Really would like the 15-minute to go negative, start that negative trend down. That would help me a lot. But I think all we have to do is watch this 30-minute. I really think it's that simple. If this curls down like this and then curls back up, curls back up into positive territory, another strong move coming. Okay, if this wants to break down further, it's going to fully go negative. And then from there, you want to say, hey, does this gap fill hold us up, or are we going to test the lows? That's the two most likely things, I think, from this area if we actually go negative. So you want to see, does it remain positive and scoot back up? That's what I would say here. But these levels, it looks all right. It really doesn't look that bad. This is just needs some structure to head higher at this point. And IWM, I'm going to start putting out the ranges for IWM. I'm just going to add them to the bottom of my my Excel spreadsheet because I already have it built and I don't want to randomly put it in. But this is right here telling you right away, okay, boom, right here we go negative. All right, so this could be some kind of pullback at this point. You just want to say pullback until we go negative. Pullback, 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 pullback. Okay, now we're negative. All right, maybe negative trend. Now we want to look for some kind of signal down here in order to take some upside. But as of right now, you got to say that's a strong move. And all the other ETFs, all the other ones like SPY and the Keys, right, they're hitting their weekly range. So you could probably assume a weekly range is somewhere up in this area. So a good pullback here would be nice. Even a solid drop all the way down to test these lows for a sturdier base would be nice. This tapering was great. Now we're seeing that breakout. What if we retest that level before we actually head higher for IWM? That's what I'd be paying attention to. Just really watching the 30 minutes, see if that can curl up into positive territory. And if you're not understanding anything, like if you're having a hard time understanding what I'm saying, really encourage you to take that course. It will help you out a lot in understanding what I'm saying while live and talking about stocks. Hopefully that helped, Mark. Looking at the NASDAQ, but you're pretty much looking for a very similar thing to the Qs, right? Seeing that curl down and then curl back up, curl down, and now we're back within that weekly. So remember, we pay attention to the weekly ranges. They're really helping us out this week. People ask me all the time, are they really that powerful? Well, look at this. You know now, hey, I take profit at least today because it's too early. Okay, now I see that bust down. Okay, curl back up. If that happens and we break out at the end of the week, it's okay. Sometimes you pull back down into it, but you can end outside of it at the end of the week and then take that into next week, get some new ranges, play that upside, and then boom, you know exactly where to take some profit. The Dow really starting to roll over. I kind of want to look at a 2-hour here. I think if this 2-hour rolls over, that is bad news. So we may be seeing a negative reaction, right? 2-hour curls over. The good part about the 2-hour curling over here, I wanted to point this out. And if you took the course, you're really going to understand this. What do we look for in the course? We call it a golden setup, but we're not going to tell you the whole thing. You got to take the course to get it. But I can tell you a 2-hour down here would be very good. Now, it's not necessarily the full golden setup, but it's a good one where the 2-hour, if we can do something like this, that would be very encouraging for a bounce if we see that positivity. We just have to be a little careful and watch these earnings kind of play through. 169. How many likes we at? Someone tell me. Someone update me on the likes. Refresh your page. I got to see. If we're at 100, I'm happy. If we're at 100, I'm good. I like those triple digits now. Apple going a little bit different, right? Giving you a little bit of a buy here, crossing above that center line on the RSI. But remember, this thing is still within some flagging at this point. So be a little careful with this one. Maybe you want to look at a 15 or something, see if any divergences are there. You got some flatness, but not necessarily a good divergence. But as we are seeing more and more weakness, I think Apple's got a good chance to rotate down and then see some kind of bounce. 93, damn. 100, yes. SPY can go long. This is not the area you want to go long yet. Now you're waiting for structure for a reason, right? We talk about reasons to take a trade, 3 to 5 reasons. I don't have any reasons right now to take a trade to the long side. I really don't on the 30-minute. At least looking at the 30-minute, what do I see crossing down? I want to wait and see if this can base out. Then I would have a reason to go long, right? If I see that curl back up. If I see this curl down, cross the center line, and then cross back up, okay, I have multiple reasons to take a trade. As of right now, no reason to take a trade to the upside for the SPY. There might be other reasons on individual stocks, but as of right now, based on how I do things, I don't see a reason to take a trade to the upside when potential for us to go test this low is there. There's potential for us to come all the way down here. So if I'm taking a long, I would say, okay, well, weekly expected move. I have a chance to go back up 1 point, but I also have the chance to go down 10 points. So I'm not about to do it. Hopefully that was helpful, Born to Win. Trust me, we'll be doing this for a little bit longer here, just a little bit, and we're going to do a breakdown of all these stocks, but just pay attention, because if we hit down here towards the end of the day and see that bounce, this is where you can get that beat down and you're good to go. So just pay attention to that. But as we are higher, you're seeing things cross over. We have big earnings tomorrow. You got to be a little bit worried to the downside. Good luck on your house search. Really appreciate that. We're looking at about, how many houses we look at? Like 5? I think we're looking at like 5 today. All right, let's start to break this down. Okay, so SPY, we've kind of been doing this. Mainly what we were doing for fun was looking at a 5-minute. We were looking at a 5-minute. Can that go negative? Yeah, look at that. It goes negative. Now what could happen on the 5-minute? Well, we're coming up into an area where we're completing that cup. All right, can we get a handle here? So watch out for any kind of bounce. Don't convince yourself like, oh, this is it. In order for this to go higher, you're going to need that 30-minute to turn back up. And I think we need more room to the downside before that happens. But 5-minute could get some kind of bounce. Maybe we even go to that weekly expected move again, and then we see that breakdown over time. So be careful with your day trades or anything like that, because you could see a bounce here near positive territory. So just be careful on the 5-minute if you're doing those shorter time frames. 30-minute, though, you can see it. It really looks like it needs to come back down to this level, maybe even come fill this gap. And then we can talk about what's happening around this area for that second push higher. We'll have to see from there as we do get data at the end of the week how that reaction is. But we just trade based on the signals, guys. Remember, it's not I think, it's not I feel. You want to wait till you know that the probabilities are on your side. Okay, know that the probabilities are on your side. So I would say calls right now for the SPY, probably not the best option. No calls here. If we do something like this, you can maybe take a play right here. That's what I would say for the calls. For the put side, you're just looking for, hey, if I'm taking a short in this area, okay, it makes sense. We're at the weekly move. Like, if anything, you have reasons to take a trade to the short side here. You just want to be quick with it. You want to see, are we coming down to that daily expected move early on, maybe in the next couple hours? Okay, then we can see some kind of bounce. So I want to see if that's able to fully rotate up this MACD. Okay, that's how I would get screwed. So now if this is going to break down for a couple of days, we get some bad earnings, okay, I can hold on to that. What I would say is every time we reach something like this, move that stop. Something like this, move that stop. Something like this, move that stop to this point right here, and then see that play all the way down. Just keep putting your stop in all the way down. Q is similar story, not able to cross over just yet. Stuck now in a zone between the weekly and the monthly. Now the Qs actually went up towards its daily expected move, but we saw that fade early on. And lastly about the SPY, just remember the structure. So you're talking about calls. Someone just asked about calls, so I'm going to talk about it, right, Jamie? This here is where you want to create structure to head higher. That's why we were talking about it. I'm not leaning towards this fully breaking down and crashing to oblivion. I'm just saying, hey, if I want to take a long play here, I need a little bit more structure because this could be forming, right? Some kind of head and shoulders. And so I want to be open to that. Even if I'm bearish here, I want to be open to that because if that starts to play out, I know I need to get out of this trade to the downside just in case. A just in case kind of trader. Always trading like water. Qs, a little bit of the same, right? We're coming into this area. We could see that pull back. Right now, this is a strong move. We need some kind of pullback. Just paying attention to the 30-minute. Try to keep it very, very simple. And we're going to look at NVIDIA in just a minute, Milo, okay? Just a minute. But if this wanted to pull back, look at this trend right here. What if we scoop up and do something like that? What if we fill the gap and then start to head up? So I'm aware that this could turn up because it's in positive territory. So I'm not saying this has to crash down yet. But if that starts to go negative and starts to break through this trend, good likelihood we're going to test this low. Maybe make a new low to get into our zone, which is right below where we were last week, so last Friday. So pay attention to this. It looks like we're getting some kind of pullback, if not some kind of reversal that leads to a divergence. That's what I would say is the most likely thing going on. Apple, now this is still seeing strength, but you notice that strength isn't giving you solid bounces like this. Like this bounce here is good. You just want that to continue a little bit higher up, get that structure, see it again, right? That's what I would say from here. You're not necessarily seeing that. All you're seeing is this gradual buying, and eventually that could start to break down because you're looking like a flag. Doesn't that look like a flag there? So if this curls down, 30-minute likelihood here is we're not going to hold up at this level. We're most likely going to go down to this area. But just in case, I will still be aware if this crosses over and crosses back up, positivity can continue. But as of right now, if this crosses down, good likelihood we're going to test this low down here at 164 for Apple. All right, going on to Tesla, and then we got Amazon, then NVIDIA. Okay, Milo, I swear I'm getting to it. And geopolitical is still possible. That's why you got to be cautious. Volatility, remember that signal. We'll look at volatility at the end too to see if that's crossing. But as of right now, what were we really giving this away last night on YouTube for? Well, it's in case you had calls, right? There was no reason to take a call or a put, really, in my opinion, based on what I do how I do things. No reason to take a call or a put. But I could totally understand if you wanted to try to do it. I'm just saying that it's 50-50. And if you took calls here, don't think that you're really doing things based on the technicals or anything like that. Like, oh, this was beat down for so long, it has divergence, so therefore it had to go up. That's not how it works. If anything, Tesla should be probably down right now. But what happens during earnings? We get some other news. So these numbers are very, very bad, but they give out some news and boom, everything's good. They talk about AI, which is what everyone does when they want to see a pop. They talk about AI, and then they also say, hey, we're going to fast lane a more affordable EV, which I think is awesome. I think that is awesome. I've talked about that in the past. I think that is a awesome thing. I think it is great. But someone just pointed out in the chat, right? They said the same thing with the Cybertruck, and then years and years later, it's just still not even good, right? Like really. So you kind of banked on Elon Musk being a very, very good marketer at this point. Amazon, this one breaking down. We're about to get into NVIDIA. So what I wanted to pay attention to here, well, let's look at the recent trend. We broke that. Could we get a reaction up and then see that pull down? Yes, but right now you're looking like you're close to negative territory. So right now, if this would go negative, you'd say, hey, I'm going to test this low. I'm going to go make a new one. At least come and maybe go down to this gap, even though we might have filled it already. Still, this area down here could be important. This would be a better base is all I'm saying for a lot of these stocks. NVIDIA, seeing that curl down. Okay, now here's the big thing. We've been mentioning this for a while, ever since we talked about this bounce a little bit back here. Yeah, we flushed a little harder. Now we get that bounce. Where would it lead us towards? We need to test that 841 level. What do? We go up towards 840. We test it. We rip down. So you're testing that weekly expected move right now. You're outside of it. So therefore, you do have a 68% chance to land down here by Friday. Okay. Sorry about that. So we have a good chance that this is going to at least pull back over the next couple of days. And I would like to just point that out on NVIDIA. Levels I'd pay attention to for some kind of pullback if we're going to keep heading higher right in this area, right around the gap fill. Look for that to turn around. All you have to do, watch the MACD, see if that can curl up and go positive. So if you're going to go short here, just make sure that this isn't happening. This will screw you over pretty hard. So be careful with that. But likelihood here is we are going to see some kind of bigger drop, and we're most likely going to make some kind of double bottom or divergence before we get a more sustainable bounce. AMD, kind of a similar thing. The thing about AMD, up over 2% today, and then all that's gone. So you know the sellers are here. Remember, any pop will be met with sellers at this point until we get some better news out there. So what I'd be paying attention to if that curls up, but you got a gap too. So a lot of these with gaps are easy because you can just pay attention to that. And then boom, if we do something like this, you're like, all right, we're getting another move higher. But if they start to come down like this, you can convince yourself that's bearish. But if you just confirm some kind of divergence right by positive territory, you actually can see a good move from AMD, maybe a more sustainable bounce because AMD's been beat up for a long time. So we're going red as of right now, crossing over on that MACD. Just be careful with that one. Meta, this one has earnings tomorrow. So I would highly, highly encourage you not to trade around Meta. You can do things like NVIDIA. You can do things like, you have plenty of other things you can trade. But right now, Meta, oof. Because what are the technicals telling you here? Let's say this. What are the technicals telling you here? Well, they're telling you, hey, I need some kind of pullback. I need to maybe even go test this low again before I actually want to head higher. But the problem is you have earnings right here. So what if this does nothing? Earnings comes out. The technicals are telling you for a pullback, but then they release even bad numbers, but good news like Tesla just did, and this goes boom. Well, if that would go boom, we have structure. We have structure to head higher now. We do have a head and shoulders. You can see it right here on your screen. If that wanted to break through this level of 510, we could see another upward move. So it's just a time to be like, hey, earnings is just not the best to trade around. Microsoft, this one hasn't really pulled back yet. It just looks like it needs a pullback at this point. Now, can we see another move higher? Yeah, of course you can. But right now, looks like the 30-minute wants to pull back at this point. And I think that that's justified based on the SPY and the Qs hitting their upside range. Google, similar thing, but Google's looked a little stronger, right? Google not necessarily breaking down fully, and this is going to most likely react with the Meta earnings a little bit. And then it has its own earnings after hours on Thursday. So Friday, you're going to see the big reaction from Google going forward. Pay attention to those weekly expected moves if you are part of the Patreon, which is down in the description. Netflix, remember we talked about this right when this big bar started to form. We were just stating, hey, now you have the potential to curl over. You're negative as of right now. So since you are negative, you say, hey, the likelihood of going down towards 543.31 is very, very good. But if this would just curl up at any point, where would we now be? Positive territory. So then you'd say positivity is more likely. So just be careful with that. It's just anytime these curl up into positive, you want to be careful for that next move. As the SPY and the Qs need to pull back, we might just see pullbacks across the board. SMCI, some people asking about this one. Look at this, crossing over negative territories right there. If you start to lose this moving average, you're probably going to test this low down here, or at least some bottom point in this zone here. So I'd say I'm leaning towards at least some kind of test of 695. Yeah, I think NVIDIA pulls back. I do. But that's a think, right? I still pay attention to the signals. All right, let's go look at volatility since we're summing things up here. Volatility finally seeing some kind of bounce. The big thing with volatility, I know that the shorter time frames, but big thing with volatility, it did cross down today, so pay attention to that. But we're reaching a time where a crash, an actual like crash can happen, because you're seeing the crash signal. Look at this. This is literally a millimeter from crossing right now, and that's the big signal you want to pay attention to. Now, when that signal happens, it needs to hold above the 200. So I want to make sure you know this needs to hold above the 200. If we do see it hold above the 200, we might see a spike in volatility. Then usually we test the 50, and then that's the moment where the volatility comes back in. I just want to point that out, but this is a big crash signal, positive territory on the daily, seeing that cross over the weekly positive at this point. So anytime we want to, we can really see volatility start to ramp up. It'll be interesting to see how this bar ends at the end of the week. Going forward, these yields going higher, we're going to pay more attention to these tomorrow and the next day when we do GDP and PCE. So this is going to be very important over the next couple of days. But TLT, you know, we look at the difference between TLT, the difference between TLT and the SPY, the difference between HYG and the SPY. Remember, these were going down while the market was up today, just this morning. So now you're seeing that crossover. We can see a move higher from here, but you'd have to say, what if this wants to pull back? Looking at a 30-minute, you'd be like, all right, it's pulling back right now. Maybe the next upward move is coming. It's just to show you that. The Dow going forward, 30-minute, doing exactly what I'm saying should happen, right? We should get some kind of pullback that at least brings us towards that center line, and then we see that curl back up. The next big move for the Dow could be coming right around the corner. So just pay attention to that. The sentiment of the market right now, a lot of puts coming into the market. So we'll have to pay attention to see if there is a downside move. And that's where we'll see the SPY breaking down to lower levels. But remember, we talked about the SPY. You're like, big bar. I literally said right before we talked about more downside that you're probably going to see some kind of bounce here, just because the 5 minutes a little cooked. We might need to retest, maybe even go test this weekly moving average before we head lower. So expect maybe an ABC pattern in this move. But I just want to say, guys, I really do appreciate you guys stopping by. I really appreciate you guys liking, subscribing, all that stuff. I'm just gonna, I know I've been annoying about it, but you got 11 days left to get the course for $149, so it will help you out. That's why I'm not asking people to come in and talk about it. People are just coming in and talking about it because it's actually helping them, and I love to see that. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. From a bad investment video, I'm buying your course. Hey, Milo, I appreciate that. And I wish you all the luck of the world with your next trade. I really do. If you can find a way to take it, it is a very good course. It will change your outlook on these indicators. It will probably change your outlook with the weekly ranges and everything like that. So really appreciate it. Think about getting the course. If you can't get the course, at least join the Patreon. Get those weekly ranges. Try to form your own strategy with the knowledge that you have right now. And then maybe you can get that course later on after a few good trades. So thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you, Chris, for subscribing. And thank you to all the new subscribers today. Really appreciate you guys being here as well, because new people are what's going to continue this forward, and we're growing a community here, and I'm loving every second of it. Taking the cryptocurrency course on the US bank site. Interesting. All right, you'll have to tell us what comes from that, JS. I'm down. I'm down. Tell us what's coming to that. But remember, guys, 11 more days, $149, then that price is going up. And if you're a part of the Patreon, you can see some stuff on there. So good stuff out there. Hope you guys have all the luck in the world trading today. I really, really do. I'm going to go look at some houses and hang out with baby girl for a little bit. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace. Make sure to join me on YouTube for my video tonight. Gah. Buying of puts. That means buying of puts. So when that PCC is going up, that means a lot of people are buying puts. And what that tells you initially, by the way, since we're just being asked about it, I'll go over it real quick. So what this means initially is when you cross this up, usually that's bearish. You cross this up, you usually get bearish when you cross that red line. So when you cross that red line, that means that the sentiment is flipping to bearish at this point. And then when it crosses back down, this is actually kind of a time where you could be bottoming out. So as you see that cross up, the market gets a little bit downside. And then if you see that cross back down, that means that at the bottom, some people are buying calls and that sentiment is starting to shift. That's all I would say there. But I hope that was helpful. I hope everything's helpful that I'm telling you guys. I really do. And I'm hoping that you guys are doing better out there. But pay attention to this 5-minute move. I'd really just pay attention to the 30-minute on a lot of these charts. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.